Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Now, today I am joined by the beautiful Nadia. Nadia, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I am doing very well, and it is an honor to have you here. We actually connected, obviously, through YouTube. But before we start talking about why you're here, I want people that don't know you to get to know you here for a second. Nadia was born in Arizona, and when she was 5, she went to California, and she's been there ever since. Growing up, she was a huge fan of the TV show Goosebumps. Viewer beware, you're in for a scare. Now, when you got into Goosebumps, did you get into the TV show first or the books first?
I would say probably the TV shows first, and then I started becoming really addicted to them, and then that's when I started getting the books and started reading all of them. I have pretty much all the books.
Right.
That's really
Well,
cool.
and not just the books. You binged it every day. You would come home right from school. You would watch it. You would never miss an episode. And now you own the
Mhm.
VHS copies, DVD episodes of it.
Oh yeah.
So if you had your choice, like let's just throw out like stay out of the basement, right? You're craving a stay out of the basement night. Do you think you're going to grab the book and read the book, or are you going to go watch the episode?
I would definitely watch the episode. It's a classic episode.
Totally is. So, I mean, I'm right there with you. I used to love the Goosebumps show as well. I used to love the books. Okay, let me ask you this. Which book would you say is your favorite of that you have?
Probably I'm actually gonna say the Stay Out of the Basement or the Welcome to Zombies or the Dead House one. I forgot the name of it. The Welcome
Okay.
to Dead House.
Yeah. So with
Right.
these ones, like, is it the same for the TV show? Are those your favorite episodes too, or is it different with the books and the TV show?
No, those are my favorite episodes. I love all
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah. See,
Those two especially.
right. And I can't remember which one it is, but the one where they're all like at the summer camp, and then at the end you figure out that they're not from Earth, they're from another planet. Um, I can't
Uh,
remember which one it is, but that was one that I always loved. Like, if you guys know it, please comment down below because I would love to know. I'm going to look it up after this, but
yeah, I'm
I know it's
blanking
like,
out on that one.
yeah, I know that they're like at the summer camp and you're trying to figure out what's going on. And at the end, they look up at the sky and you see Earth off in the distance. And really, really enjoyed that one too. What I love about you in particular is you spread your love of horror everywhere, whether it's your boyfriend, your friends, your coworkers. You try to get everybody around you into horror. So obviously you're fighting the good fight out there. So when
Yeah.
someone asks you, like, let's just say you have someone that's not too into horror, and they're like, "All right, Nadia, what horror movie would you recommend for me to watch? What is your recommendation for a brand new person that's just getting into horror?"
I would say probably The Gate. The Gate is a very 80s classic intro to horror. It's got, it's not too gory, it's not too scary. It's got the little creatures going around. Um, that's usually what I start with. And then I move on to a little bit of escalating things, not like to Saw or anything, but
Right.
it's, slowly but surely. I think The Gate is a pretty good start. I think it's considered, sorry if you can hear my dog. I think it's
That's fine.
considered a kids movie,
Oh,
if
well, I
I'm
mean,
not
like,
mistaken.
I would consider The Gate just like, you got The Gate, you got Monster Squad, Beetlejuice, Ghostbusters. You got these movies that are considered horror, but you could also consider them horror comedy or gateway horror for people, like you said, that are not too into the genre. They are trying to get into the genre for the first time. Those are all movies I think are excellent examples. Even kiddier stuff like Hocus Pocus. Like, to me, yeah, it's kiddier, but it's definitely still horror. It has its horror roots. So I definitely understand where you're coming from on that. Now, you've taken this love of horror and you've created your YouTube channel, Horror and More. Now, can you tell us a little bit about your channel?
My channel is basically surrounded all of what I'm passionate about. So it would be mainly horror. So that's why that's in the name. But I wanted to expand it a little bit and not just focus it on horror because I feel like even I would get sick of doing content like that.
Mhm.
But I like to do vlogs, tier lists. Now I'm going to start video game streaming, conspiracy theories, all that. So I wanted to expand more into the more part of the horror and
Sure.
more. So, but yeah, horror is always going to be my heart and my main squeeze. And I don't see my life without horror, honestly.
Right. And the good thing about that, guys, if you haven't yet, I do have all the links for Horror and Morror down in the description. So make sure that you're subscribing on YouTube. Make sure you're following on social media so you could be a part of that as well. Now, in order for you to run a horror YouTube channel, and in order for you to be able to fill in your friends, your boyfriends, your coworkers on horror in general, horror had to start for you somewhere, Nadia. So now I want to go back to the past and talk about how horror started for you, your first horror movie. And Nadia, your first horror movie was?
Child's Play, 1988.
What an amazing start to your horror life. Now, you remember about how old you were the first time you had seen it?
I was about 4 years old. I was pretty young. And I actually have the original VHS tape here. That is
so dope.
It's crinkled up. It's seen better days. So I put a little protector case on it, but you know, it's still holding up. And this is what started my love for horror. And I love that I have the hardcore evidence to prove it.
Well, see, I can't argue with you. Like, obviously, you can't see because of my hat, but Child's Play is something for me that is super important. And I've talked about it numerous times. Child's Play, I feel like, is my absolute favorite horror franchise. I think it's the perfect horror franchise from beginning to end. And I could talk about these movies all day long. So do you remember who you were with the first time you had seen Child's Play?
I was with my mom. She had it just sitting on the coffee table, and I was already experienced with the VHS tapes. So I popped it in, I grabbed it, and just fell in love at first sight. And Chucky is actually my favorite horror villain. So it's kept up all these years.
Oh, and we're still going strong today. Like we got the TV show that's going on. Like it's still super, super relevant with the horror world. And kudos to your mom. Much love to your mom for getting you started. Now, Child's Play is a movie that is very dark. And we often forget how dark the original Child's Play is because of all the levity that comes with Child's Play now. But which scene would you say it was that affected you the most from Child's Play?
Well, I actually have two. So I would say the first one was the crime scene, Maggie's crime scene, where the FBI is all over investigating the house, and the detective sees flower prints on the floor from the footprints, and he calls Andy over to check his shoe, and of course there's no flower. But what we didn't know is that Chucky's footprints is the one that had the flowers. So to me, it's like if Karen hadn't interrupted him checking Andy's footprints, we would have seen that Chucky was the killer from day one. So that one, I don't know. It just feels like that would have make or break the whole franchise if they would have found out. The second scene is when they're Karen, Andy's mom, and Andy are sitting on the bed, and Andy's like,
"He said that Maggie was a real bitch and got what she deserved."
And Karen's like, "No, it's just a doll. It's not real. It's just made of plastic and stuffing." Right. And it's like, I hate when parents don't believe kids, especially like I know a killer doll, like no one believes that, but I don't know, like it's a little kid and he's so cute and he has this sweet little voice. And I'm like, I believe you, Andy. Don't worry.
Right. And it's one of those things where like if she would have just paid a little more attention to all the things he was saying, like grabbing out the name Charles Lee Ray, all these little things, Chucky wants to watch the 9 o'clock news, like, and all these things that would make so much sense. And I don't know if you know, but I love the direction that they went with Child's Play, because when Don Mancini did his first screenplay, they didn't have any voodoo. The whole thing was, it was supposed to be a doll that was filled with an oil type substance. Well, the doll got broken and Andy cut himself and put some of his blood into the doll to fix it. And that's what turned it evil. While that would have been dope, I do like the direction that they went with the movie. And that kind of brings me to my next question. It is a dark movie, but there are some fun moments in it. Like we said earlier, which scene would you say is your favorite from the OG Child's Play?
Well, once again, I have two, because you can't just pick one scene from this whole movie, man. I'm going to say when Karen puts Andy to bed and she's like, okay, good night, Chucky. Or no, Andy says, good night, Chucky. And then he wants Chucky to talk to him and say it back. I'm so sorry about my bird.
You're fine.
It's like a zoo in my house right now. And he's like, I lost my train of thought. Chucky's like, good night, Chucky, I love you. And he wants him to say it back. But then Chucky looks over at the the bedroom and he sees the door on the shadow on the bottom of the door. He sees footprints there. So he knows that Kieran's listening. Yeah, he knows Kieran's listening. He's like, I like to be hugged. It's just like he goes dull mode. So I don't know. I liked that scene. And then the other scene that I liked is at the end when Chucky's in the chimney and he's like on fire and he's running towards Kieran. Mm-hmm. Iconic scene. Iconic Chucky look.
One of the best parts of this movie is the fact that you're always getting a new idea of Chucky throughout the whole movie. Like at first, I mean, like obviously we see the possession with Charles Lee Ray, and then we see him going to Eddie Caputo's house, and then all the different puppeteer work, and then when you get him burned up walking towards Andy, like all the different growths of the doll and all the different puppeteer work and all the different real practical effects they use throughout the movie, I think is a real reason why this movie hit so hard. So we couldn't talk about Child's Play without talking about the kills. Obviously, there are a fair amount of very good kills throughout the film. Which kill would you say is your favorite from the OG Child's Play?
Definitely the death of Dr. Ardmore, Andy's child psychiatrist. Chucky puts on the electric shock helmet on his head and just shocks him to death. And then he's just on the ground oozing, like,
yeah.
You just see all the foam. It's really good. Very iconic.
Oh, convulsing. Yeah, what a great scene. There's not very many kills in the first Child's Play, but every single one is super memorable. So you got to give it up for that. Now, at the time of recording, I believe we've had 8 movies, 9 movies maybe, and 2 seasons of a TV show. And I like I said, big franchise. So is the OG your favorite in the franchise, or do you have a favorite movie in the franchise that's not the OG?
Unfortunately, I have to say that Bride of Chucky is my favorite.
Man, nothing unfortunate about that. I'm rocking my Chucky and Tiffany shirt right now.
Oh, heck yeah. That looks
nothing
really cool.
Unfortunate about that. Me personally, it will always be everybody else's least favorite. Child's Play 3. That is my favorite. It always will be. I freaking adore that movie. I think it's just so brilliant. It's so perfect. I love that movie. But Bride of Chucky turned the franchise around. I mean, it really did. And Bride of Chucky has the perfect balance of the meta horror with the horror comedy, with the straight up horror. It's gruesome. Like there's so many great things, and it's funny. It's a fantastic film. So I'm with you. I'll go to bat for Bride of Chucky. Like, while it may not be my favorite, it's amazing. And it introduces us to one of the best female villains of all time in Tiffany Valentine. So yeah, I'm 100% on your team. I'm a big Bride of Chucky fan.
Yeah, and I'm with you. Child's Play 3 is also one of my favorites, and I don't see why it gets so much hate. And
me neither. I don't get it. It's so good.
It's nonstop action. And the kills are great too. Like, come on.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we talked about one thing I usually like to bring up with people is obviously in Hollywood right now, remakes, requels, sequels is kind of all the rage. And I've given my opinions on the Child's Play remake before, but I would like yours now, Nadia. Did you watch Child's Play 2019? And if so, what are your thoughts on that film?
I did. I saw it in theaters on opening night, and I was so disappointed in it. I just, the way they went with it with the AI thing, and his whole face is different, a different voice. It's not Brad Dourif. It didn't work for me. I still own it because I'm a completionist and I love the Child's Play franchise. Have I watched it since I went to the theater? No, but it's there if I ever want it. But that's probably the least Chucky movie that I reach out for, just because I wasn't a fan.
It's so funny because I feel, again, I think I'm in the minority here. I really, really like that movie. And hear me out. I think it would have been better if they had called the movie Buddy from the world of Child's Play. I think that, that would have made it a lot more complete had they done that. But one thing I want to say about, the Child's Play remake, I don't want to see Brad Dourif again, somebody else trying to be Charles Lee Ray. I like the fact that we've already had that. That's done. We don't need that anymore. Let's take what we have here, just like Evil Dead 2013. Let's take this original idea and let's make it our own. And with the Child's Play remake, they did that. We don't need to see Ade Dewey Dembele. That's already been done, and it's been done great.
Ade Dewey Dembele, give me the power I beg of you!
In the OG. But if they would have just called the movie, like I said, Buddy, from the world of Child's Play, and changed the dial a little bit, I think it could have been a perfect movie. Because I think it's gruesome, it's funny, the characters are relatable and likable. Give it another chance. Go into it again with an open mind for me and let me know what you think of it. I would love to see your opinion on that. So
I definitely will. I will.
We talked about Child's Play, which was your first horror movie, and what that movie means to you. But now, Nadia, I do want to kind of throw a curveball at you here for a second. My little buddy Ghostface is here, and he has a question for you. What's your favorite scary movie, Nadia? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
Of all time, man, that changes a lot. But the one that's always stuck to me the most is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Really?
That gets a lot of diverse opinions, but Halloween 3 has a classic score, classic iconic 3 little characters.
You can't see it. I have a shirt that literally says Halloween 3 is a good movie.
Yes.
I am a huge Halloween. I wish you could see it, the stupid background. But I love that answer. I think Halloween 3, again, if I could change one thing about it, it would be the name. If it didn't have the name Halloween 3, if it would have just been Season of the Witch, that movie could have been so huge. So huge.
I agree. And it's classic 80s horror. That's my favorite decade of all time to watch. It's got some cheese, but it's got some good feta cheese. The iconic kill with the laser thing over the mouth and the eyes. Oh, are you gonna wear it? Let's see it.
Yeah, I'm wearing it now.
Oh yeah.
Now I can finally wear this shirt during an interview and show it some love. I usually wear the shirt of whatever I'm talking about, but now I can wear this shirt and show it some love. And you're right, that laser scene when she's trying to clean off the silver shamrock thing and it blasts into her. Great scene. Great scene.
That song always gets stuck in your head too. The every day is Halloween.
Oh my gosh. Halloween. Yes. And it's funny because I'm not a huge fan of the Halloween franchise. It's just it's not my thing. I love Halloween 3. I really, really respect Halloween, the OG. I respect it. A little slow for me, but it showed you how to make the perfect slasher. It's not the first slasher by any stretch. Obviously, you had Black Christmas and Psycho and things like that, but it showed you how to make the perfect slasher where you can have just as much screen time and talk about your villain just as much as you do your hero. And a lot of other movies that I grew up loving modeled around that. I'm also one of the few people, please put down your pitchforks and your torches. I really enjoy Halloween Resurrection. I don't think it's a good movie, but I have a lot of fun watching Halloween Resurrection. I go into that movie knowing what I'm going to get. A cheesy 2000 slasher that is just over the top. Is it a great horror movie? No. But there's never been a time where I'm watching Halloween Resurrection and I'm bored or I'm not laughing. I mean, the kills are good in it. I like the kills. I laugh. They took a big swing on trying to do the live streaming thing. A lot of it didn't land, but man, I'm never bored. The movie's fun. It's such a fun movie. And it's just like Halloween Ends. People are going to shit on it because it's different. But I mean, I'm not a huge Halloween Ends fan, but I am a Halloween Resurrection fan. So I will die on that hill. But then again, I'm weird. I also think Jason Goes to Hell is one of the best in the Friday the 13th franchise. So yes, I know. Everybody else is talking about Jason X, and I think that movie's hot garbage. I love Jason Goes to Hell. Oh my gosh. Jason Goes to Hell has Jason. It has Freddy at the end with Freddy's glove. It has the Necronomicon, so it has its Evil Dead ties. It has one of the best final guys of all time in Creighton Duke. That dude's a badass. they actually use the Kandarian dagger from the Evil Dead franchise to kill Jason. Like, come on, that's so legit. Like, that's so dope. Again,
that part's dope. I'll give you that.
I will die on the hill that Jason Goes to Hell, easily top 3 in that franchise. Easily top 3 in that franchise. That's just my opinion, though. And we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about Nadia. So we know what your favorite horror movie is. We know what your first horror movie was. But now, before I let you go, I want to bounce back to Child's Play. And what we're going to do here, Nadia, is rank this on a skull count. Now, we're not judging this movie on acting, production, score, nothing like that. What we're doing here is strictly judging Child's Play on how much it affected you on your first viewing. So 0 skulls being not effective, 5 being extremely effective. You can use half and quarter skulls anywhere in the middle. Nadia, what would your ranking of Child's Play be?
That's easy, man. I give it a 5 skulls out of 5 skulls.
I figured. I mean, you've got the posters in the background. It totally changed the way you look at life.
It's
and
Chucky
horror,
Harms. It's
yeah, that's so
serial
dope,
killer.
man. I see that, and I see the children of the cornflakes. That is so genius.
Yep, I got a whole wall full of them, man.
That's so
yeah,
dope.
Chucky changed my life. It's part of who I am. I would get a Chucky tattoo. You know, I don't know. It gets a lot of hate too. Chucky because he's a killer doll and no one takes him seriously. But he's just so iconic in the horror community, in the horror world. They keep making movies, sequels, shows out of him. There's, Chuck. It's the best franchise to me.
I would even go as far, and again, another argument I'll have with anybody. Chucky is the most recognizable horror villain there is. See, you go to a non-horror fan, someone that doesn't follow horror at all, they will confuse Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees. Michael Myers, the hockey mask guy, like that shit happens. Everybody knows Chucky. Everybody. Whether you're a horror fan or not, you know who Chucky is. And
preach.
Yeah. I'm just like this whole franchise, and it's always been led by Don Mancini, which I think is, we don't appreciate the scope. This guy's been doing this franchise for 30 years. That is freaking insane. And it's always been his brainchild. It's always been his baby. All the changes it's gone through, the representation for the LGBTQ plus community. There's just so many amazing things that Child's Play has always tackled. Maybe not so great. I'm looking at you, Sita Chucky. You could have done a little better with your LGBTQ plus representation, but at least you tried. But you look at, yeah, and you look at the TV show now. They're winning all these GLAAD awards, and I think it's so amazing that to this day, this horror franchise is still tackling, because horror fans, we know one of the terms I hate more than anything is woke horror. I hate that term. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, because horror has been woke since Phantom of the Opera in 1938. Horror has always had a political and a real message. I mean, you look at Night of the Living Dead, 1968. The whole movie is a message about consumerism, and there's a bunch of race issues in that movie. It's always been there. Tales from the Hood in the 90s. Whole movie's about racism. Horror has always been about political and community message, and Child's Play is a part of that. So I'm so glad that I get the chance to talk about that with you a little bit.
For sure. I totally agree with you. The way that now they're making up for it in the Chucky series, they're really showing us what he can do with that diversity and all that. So that is really cool to see, and can't wait for season 3 of Chucky.
Did you finish season 2?
I did. I wasn't the biggest fan at the beginning, and then towards the middle end, I was like, okay, I'm feeling it now. So
I will say there were some continuity things in season 2 that really, really bothered me, really got under my skin. But overall, it was good. I actually cried like a baby during an episode, which I'm not going to say on air, because if people haven't seen it, I don't want the spoiler. But cried like a little baby during an episode, and it didn't have anything to do with the kill. Go figure. Nothing to do with the kill, just a regular part of the story, and I cried like a baby. So, guys, we are at the end of the 3rd act. The credits are about to roll, and the curtain's about to drop. But before that happens, there's some social media links that need following. and a YouTube link that needs subscribed to right down here in the description. So make sure you're following Horror and Morror on social media, and make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on everything Nadia has coming up for you here in the future. Nadia, please don't go anywhere. I got a couple more questions for you. Okay. Everybody else, as always, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.